It was unheard of for any type of crime to happen of this magnitude in such a loving place.
Months go on, no additional answers. And then one day, a picture pops up in Florida.
It was the picture that shocked the nation.
No one knew if the photo was a hoax or an ominous clue.
The girl in the Polaroid looks just like Tara, but is it her?
We thought it was her. We were so sure it was her.
I believe there's people out there that know exactly what happened.
Someone threw it out like trash in a Florida parking lot. One disturbing picture. Inside, there were two young individuals, a boy and a girl, tied up and gagged, their eyes wide with fear. The kids were still alive, but just barely. This picture gave New Mexico a scary, quick response to a question it had been asking for 10 months. This is the sad story of Tara Calico and the one Polaroid that altered everything. We trace the careful routine that led to an inconceivable atrocity. Uncover the horrifying reality that local authorities have been hiding in plain sight, and follow a decades-long search for justice that was sparked by one photo. The bike trip was more than workout for Tara Calico, who was 19 years old. It was a ritual. Every day, I drive the same 36-mile loop on New Mexico SMT Highway 47. The cadence of the pedals gave her freedom, a steady beat in the confusion of existence. September 20th, 1988, started out like any other day until something changed. Tara's bike had a flat tire. She took her mother Patty's bright pink Huffy mountain bike, which was a well-known and fairly obvious choice. She informed Patty that she had to be back by noon for a tennis date before she left the house. Patty should look for her if she wasn't home. Tara was very independent, but she never missed that deadline. She got on her bike, put on her Walkman, and went down the street. Patty watched her leave, which was something she was used to, but this time she felt empty in her stomach. Patty Calico's kid was alive the last time she saw her. Patty's worries weren't unfounded. They were based on a recollection she couldn't get out of her head. A few weeks ago, a car followed Tara and them on the same road. It crawled, followed, and then suddenly swung hard, almost knocking them off the road before rushing away. Patty was scared by this planned act of intimidation. She stopped riding right away. She implored Tara to carry protection: a knife, mace, anything, but Tara disregarded it, feeling her mother exaggerated the threat. She was young, independent, and nothing would stop her daily trip. So, Tara went without a weapon, shielded only by the bubble of her Walkman music. The familiar bike, that flash of bright pink against the sepia tones of the roadway, marked her every move. This daily repetition, once a source of strength, now rendered her a predictable target. The first few hours presented little alarm. 7 separate witnesses observed Tara on the road, confirming her anticipated path. The final witness saw her at 11:45 a.m., coming back toward her house, barely 2 miles from home. That witness, however, spotted a troubling detail: a white 1953 Ford pickup vehicle following Tara closely. She seemed unaware, engrossed in the music from her headphones. No one witnessed an abduction. No one observed a struggle. The truck maintained pace, a shadow on the roadway, and then, unexpectedly, Tara vanished. Back home, Patty felt the minute hand crawl toward 12 o'clock. Tara was punctual. She was dependable. By 12:05 p.m., Patty could no longer handle the tension. She got in her car and began driving Tara's customary path, searching for the telltale flash of the pink Huffy. Patty understood the time of the route thoroughly. As she drove, the dread-mounted Tara should have been within a mile or two of the house. She wasn't. Patty covered the entire 36 miles and drove back, her heart thumping against her ribs, the road absolutely vacant. She instantly called the police. Her daughter was not a runaway. She was not only late, Tara Calico was missing. Investigators initiated a desperate hunt. The following day, Patty found the first clue: Tara's cassette tape, a simple music recording. Strangely, it lay in the opposite direction Tara had been headed when last sighted. Police noticed smudged tire tracks near the find marks. Patty's stepfather said looked like someone had carried a body off the road. The evidence pointed not to a crash, but to a fierce battle, followed by a forcible reversal of direction. Police widened the search area, desperate for any solid proof. They found the next item miles away. Bizarrely, nowhere near Tara's typical route, smashed up parts of her Walkman. This fragmented evidence appeared near the secluded JFK campground. Why here? Tara's path was Highway 47, not a distant campground. Patty hypothesized Tara, straining against her abductor, purposefully discarded the pieces, seeking to leave a trail, a desperate breadcrumb for her future rescuers. This placement confused authorities, suggesting a premeditated attempt by the abductor to disorient searchers. Months crawled by with nothing else. No corpse, no witnesses, no evidence of the pink bike. The lawsuit halted. New Mexico had ran cold. 10 months later, 1,500 miles away in Port St. Joe, Florida, the case bursts into the terrible limelight of national attention. A woman pulled into a junior food store parking lot. A white windowless van was parked next to her. When the van pulled away minutes later, a little piece of paper lay on the tarmac. She picked it up, the back of a Polaroid image. She turned it over, and the world changed. The photograph showed a young woman gagged with duct tape, hands bound behind her back, laying on soiled bedding. Beside her lay a tiny boy, similarly constrained. The eyes of both toddlers shouted utter, unadulterated fear into the camera lens. The woman alerted the police immediately, but the van, the driver, and the probable victims had vanished. Subscribe to Crimseni for more fascinating true crime stories. Now, back to the case. 2 months after the Florida find, the disturbing Polaroid appeared on a national TV program. Tara Calico witnessed it. Immediately, instinctively, she knew. That girl, chained and afraid, was Tara. Patty pointed out significant details. A characteristic scar on the girl's calf, matching one Tara had in a childhood automobile accident. She also recognized a certain book laying next to the girl, My Sweet Audrina by V.C. Andrews, one of Tara's favorite authors. The emotional confirmation was absolute for Patty, a lightning stroke of painful optimism. But when the FBI inspected the photo, they declined to establish her identity definitively. The mother saw a scar. The FBI saw an unconfirmed match. The eerie portrait brought hope, yes, but also a further layer of doubt and misery. The girl in the Polaroid was not alone. The tiny kid beside her was instantly identified by the sheriff of Cibola County as Michael Henley, a 9-year-old who had vanished from a camping 50 miles from Tara's home just months before. The timelines and proximity were too intriguing to ignore. Could the same monster have abducted both children? For Tara Calico and Michael's parents, the Polaroid became a symbol of desperate, shared hope. Their children were visibly endangered, tied up and gagged, but they were united. They had each other. The isolating trauma of a missing child finally found a buddy. The two families joined forces, blanketing the South with posters, forcing the narrative of the two toddlers in the Polaroid onto the national conscience. Sightings of the bound children flooded in from across the South, each one a further dose of adrenaline for the families. Any glimpse could be the one that guided them home. But in June 1990, the faint sense of hope collapsed for one family. Michael Henley's remains were located 6 miles from the campsite where he disappeared. He had succumbed to exposure, not a kidnapping. Therefore, the boy in the Polaroid could not have been Michael. For his family, the information gave sad closure. They could mourn and bury their son. For Patty, the revelation was a fresh nightmare. It undermined the hypothesis of a shared captor, casting all identification of the girl into question. The investigation stopped, leaving Tara Calico adrift in unending doubt. She struggled valiantly for 16 more years, dying in 2006 without ever learning Tara's true destiny. 2 years after Patty's death, the case seemed headed for the cold file. Then, a bombshell landed. Sheriff Rene Rivera, an investigator on the Calico investigation since 1989, gave a public interview. He dealt with the optimism of the Polaroid immediately. "Tara is dead," he proclaimed. Rivera claimed she died the day she disappeared, struck inadvertently by a pickup truck operated by local youngsters. Instead of notifying the authorities, the adolescents panicked, concealed her body, and arranged a cover-up. Rivera maintained he knew the identities of the killers and those who helped conceal the crime. He couldn't say more, he claimed, since they lacked the physical evidence, the bike, the clothes, Tara's body. Rivera's insight, however tantalizing, was maddeningly incomplete. The silence of the authorities was almost more upsetting than the first ignorance. The missing link arrived in 2013. Frank Methala, a former Valencia County deputy, stepped forward with the whole horrific story. he reported a 2006 deathbed confession from a man only known as Mr. Brown. Brown, knowing his time was short, needed to unburden a 20-year secret. He described being invited to a trailer house basement hangout shortly after Tara vanished. As he walked down, he observed a blue tarp covering a shallow grave. He posed the unsettling query, "What the heck is that?" The trailer owner, Lawrence Romero Jr., glanced at him, then uttered the dreadful truth that is Tara Calico. Romero then revealed the exact events. They pursued her, struck her, placed her in the truck, and assaulted her. When Tara threatened to go to the police, Romero panicked, lunged for a knife, and killed her. The elements of the cover-up snapped into place. Lawrence Romero Jr. was the alleged killer. But the story carried one more heartbreaking twist. Lawrence Romero Jr. was the son of Lawrence Romero Sr., the Valencia County Sheriff at the time of Tara's disappearance. Rivera, as cryptic statement regarding a cover-up, took on a terrible new meaning. The sheriff had allegedly sheltered his son and destroyed evidence. Romero Jr. committed suicide in 1991, but the confession implicated others. Deputy Methala submitted a report on the deathbed statement, although the accompanying tape recording vanished, never entering evidence. To this day, the truth remains locked in rumors and circumstantial links. They had names, motives, and a purported confession, yet still, they lacked the key evidence. But the fight continues. In 2023, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office declared sufficient evidence now exists to submit the complete investigation to the District Attorney's Office for evaluation of potential charges. Will a decades-old cover-up ultimately shatter? Will justice, however delayed, finally find Tara Calico? Tara Calico's disappearance still haunts New Mexico today. Our thoughts are with her loved ones seeking closure. Up next, pure evil destroys an entire family. Hit subscribe for more unsolved mysteries and comment below what's your theory on what happened to Tara.